squids, kids, and cephalopods of all kinds. Today on Squids with a Mic, the question is, if you could have any salmon as your little buddy, who would you choose? During the events of Alterna, you are accompanied by a small fry known as Lil Buddy. Small fry is a pretty powerful ally, but what if you could have a different salmonoid as your partner? How do you think the Octarians would feel about you piloting the steel eel or flying through the sky on Ouroboros? There are many things to consider before you choose.
Flyfish.
I have a love-hate relationship with certainly the flyfish.
It is basically your current little buddy, just with a jetpack.
Exactly.
Just got an upgrade, yeah, just got a battle suit. and now the little buddy has the power of God and anime on their side with use of the missile buckets.
Of course, we've got everyone's favorite salmonoid, the griller.
Oh god.
Grillers.
Of course, even if it's not the most logical answer, you gotta think of how fun it would be to let loose a griller on a horde of Octarians.
Oh, a griller. True. Yeah. That is pretty funny.
I feel like it'd be a good option if you just didn't want to fight the Octarians. You can get on top of it and control it somehow. So that way you could just, like, run them over. It's the only thing I could see myself using that.
What would be the pros and cons to having a Quahog?
Absolutely, the Quahog's firepower. Of course. Got that frying pan. The frying pan is all the frying power. Frying power. All the frying power. Let's go with that. Firepower, more like frying power.
A Quahog would definitely be a lot harder to carry around than a small fry. Maybe the Quahog could put on a backpack and you get to sit in the backpack instead.
Oh, that's funny. I like that.
That'd be really cool. I would not mind that.
It's like he's like a muscle man.
So that would be nice. It would generally just be like, so their strengths would be frying power. I just coined that term right now. I'm gonna license it and patent it, so you'll pay me royalty. But the weaknesses would be slow, but not that slow, and maybe it's lack of speed. Especially if you're in the backpack, maybe you're contributing more to the weight of the Quahog, and they would move potentially slower with you in their backpack, and then they may be overwhelmed at a distance, because of course Quahogs are especially only useful up close, and so you would have to be strategic in tactfully being up close.
What about something that seems really pointless? Can you think of any benefits to having a fish stick?
A fish stick. Besides distracting the Octarians in the same sense that a Snatcher would, I believe it would be in the same vein. Although the fish stick tends to like to stay drilled into a particular location, and then they have not demonstrated a use of moving from a drilled position. They may not have that ability, and it is unknown what their activity is beyond their initial premise. So I would doubt the fish stick would be of much use. That would actually be probably one of the lower picks.
If there's nowhere you can really put it, then it's just like, oh, well, I don't know what to do now.
At least you can hear their charming music.
Oh gosh, yeah, that's definitely what I want to be hearing.
How about something a bit more promising, like having a steelhead following you around?
Because of its size, it may not be able to go over gaps. Although the steelhead, the fact that it's got the invincible, like, scale body, that would be really good.
I can't imagine a steelhead trying to jump.
Nope. I don't think it could, honestly. It would, like, attempt it, but then it would just look like it's doing a pose, like a and then...
Honestly, I had to pick. I'd have to pick Moz. That would be my choice. Now, you might be wondering, why would you pick Moz? Well, number one, I like the design and the way that it comes up to you unexpectedly.
Now the Moz is actually very interesting because the Moz likes to defy physics and be one of the most perplexing of them all. And of course, the Moz is so versatile, although it seems to have a stronger relationship with simply having the ground around it at all times.
My main question with the Moz is how do you take it places?
That's a good question. Honestly, I feel like you would have to carry it somehow. It sounds so weird, but like, and then whenever you use your ink, you would throw it in that ink.
If we're going to bend logic the same way that the game already does in the Moz natural habitat and fashion, then we could pluck that little fishing line that it seeks by, and then by some miracle they would be transported just by that one fishing line and then move it to another ground after moving from one ledge to another. The Moz is definitely the most perplexing because we don't necessarily know the most of the Moz's capabilities and whether they would truly be limited to just the ground they start from and not anywhere else, so.
It does seem possible for a Moz to jump since that's how it attacks in the first place. Though I don't know if it could go very far.
True. That's actually a really good point. Yeah, it does propel itself out from the ground, and that jump would... now granted, a jump from an Inkling isn't that high anyway, and the Moz jumps higher than an Inkling, propelling itself, so actually, the Moz would be helpful. That's a really good point. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So next on my list is the Stinger.
Yo, honestly, Stinger would be so useful. It is one of the highest special abilities that can just infinitely laser in a direction. And the fact that it can infinitely laser in a direction, you could just wipe out the entire Octarian crew. I'd say Stinger would be an overpowered pick, arguably.
Also have to remember that in the Salmon Field Guide, it says that the Salmonoid on top of the stack cannot be harmed by ink.
Even better.
Ooh, that's a good point, yeah.
Of course, it can't really move very far on its own, so would you have to carry it around?
You would have to carry it around, although its nimble, skinny body would fit in the kettle pretty well. So in some cases it's useful to move on its own, in some cases not. You'll probably just have to be a little creative, I suppose. Although it's also shown itself to have its power be isolated with its head from its body, so you could technically take all those pots apart and then carry the little pot body separately and then stack it back up like a Lego set.
So next we've got the Drizzler.
There's a detail I'm forgetting, and that's the health system of the Octarians. I forget if the Octarians can heal slowly, like an Inkling, or whether the damage is static. That's a little unknown in my mind. Regardless, I feel that would factor into its use of the Ink Storm. Of course, if you can, quote-unquote, stack the Ink Storms, keep it propelled, and weaken the enemy. But there's a difference between weakening the enemy and outright taking them out. So the Drizzler would be very good transportation-wise and very good to support. And so that's where the pro is. Although where it is weak is damage output is much smaller, so...
I wonder if you were to hold on to the umbrella, if you could fly with it.
Ooh, that's a good point. Maybe the weight would modify the arc. That it would, so instead of the arc of flying being so high, it would be a little lower. I think, yeah, you would be able to fly with it. That would be really awesome, and I think That's a really good point, yeah.
Okay, so next we have the flipper flopper.
The flipper flop. The capability of the flipper flopper being mobile in the air and suspending itself in the air for a slam. So useful.
I'm just imagining trying to ride it like a dolphin.
Yes, that would be so awesome.
So I don't know if the mothership would be very helpful. 'Cause on its own, it doesn't do very much.
True, although if we were to assume it has just as much ammo as it already contains and is used for, then the mothership would just be the multiplier for dispersing as many lesser salmonids as much as possible. It almost feels like a cheat. It'd be like, oh, which salmonid would you choose? One single one or a bunch of them?
If you just got the mothership by itself, I'm not sure what you'd do with it.
True. Yeah, the Chinooks are extremely helpful. Without the Chinooks, it would be considerably lacking because you'd have so much firepower, but you would still have to do something with it. And what we know with Inklings is they're not the most strong.
I suppose you could super jump up there and try to dump one of the boxes off. We've got Kohozuna and Horoboros.
Ooh. If they could be our little buddy? I didn't know those were included. I thought you were just like, dang, the regular bosses, not the kings. Oh, dude, Ouroboros would be so good.
I'd like to have Ouroboros as well.
Imagine just going into some place and just seeing an Octarian just whipping out the Ouroboros.
Yeah, it would be terrifying.
Yeah.
I can't imagine trying to get them in the kettles, though.
Nope.
They can just slink as
They're
they
not
go into the
slinking.
next level. You just see them slink in there.
Bro would get stuck.
True. I don't know if anybody would want a snatcher. If you get any use out of that.
So a snatcher has a cute little fly thing to snatch up eggs. These salmonids can function and be used on their own. You wouldn't necessarily have to lug and throw small fry at your own command. Granted, you could be like a Pokemon trainer and be like, go! So even though they have their own agency, you could still give the commands. And all you gotta do is swap out that snatching net of the snatcher and equip them a spoon or frying pan like a typical chum, since a snatcher is a chum. And I feel that would be helpful. But of course, if they unfortunately don't have a weapon, I believe there is still much use out of it in distracting a bunch of salmonids. Keep the salmonids occupied and looking at the snatcher, and the salmonids would just never bat an eye to your character, and you could just like walk and have like a scenic route through story mode. Story mode has great music and visuals.
Just picks up the Octarian and just takes him away.
I mean, that'd be pretty funny if it did that. Like, oh, look at it go. You could see the Octarian just flying away.
See you later, buddy.
There you go. And that's it. There goes your one and only snatcher that you can ever have.